Let me also look at what a post-COVID 19 St. Kitts or the world at large would look like. We have to look at the fact that at this current stage, where we should be preparing for the 2020 hurricane season, whereas on June 1st each year, that's the start of the annual hurricane season. We are also in a political season where I would say within the next 4 months, general elections should be called, notwithstanding the article of a state of emergency that's been imposed mainly due to the health challenges that we're facing due to COVID-19. But all these topics can be trashed out. How the COVID-19 has affected us socially in terms of how we congregate, how we worship, how we socialize, how we recreate, how it affects our education, our institutions of learning generally. There is a burning question out there amongst those affected, directly impacted, the industries directly impacted by COVID-19 as it relates to those in the travel and hospitality industries, as to the COVID-19 relief fund that has been articulated by the Prime Minister in terms of being able to reach out and assist persons affected. There are some who have various opinions as to how it should be, the breakdown, the time frame, etc. Today we can examine all these various aspects, your opinions. Of course, I know I'm going to hear from Askelanji, my good friend. The numbers to call, if you wish to call in, are 664-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989. I'm going to get the overseas numbers to you shortly. But just some of the topics that we want to examine. Oh, and from the Miami area, I suspect 305-921-4619. I should tell you I'm wearing my mask, and it's a bit of a challenge speaking through the fabric. And it's a bit warm in here, so I'm going to ask the gentleman to just get me a little more comfortable. But the lines are open for interaction. As I said, we're looking at the various topics possible we can expound on today. Shortly on my way here, I ran into Traffic Officer Rouse. I'm not sure as to her rank. I'm going to suggest she's a sergeant. And she asked me, of course she's up there. The place is dead traffic-wise. But she's downtown on her, what do you call that? It's not a tripod. It's got 3 wheels. But she's downtown doing her duties, and she asked me, where you going? I said, I'm heading to Voices today to do, I went heading to WinFM today to be the host of Voices. And her response was, does it still go on? Yes, folks. Voices still go on. I know there's a friend studying in Barbados right now. Her name is Bunny, and she's locked on to today's program. There's also Amber, Louis Hodge in Anguilla. These are folks who've locked on and listening to what's happening within the Federation. I think we learned yesterday by the last press release that we have officially documented 14 cases confirmed. And of the last 2, if my memory serves me correct, these were cases that were already under quarantine because of their suspected contact with, I would say, other persons who were actually known to have had the virus. So for those who are inquiring, well, is it something random, something new? These were people also already in quarantine on the list that was sent off to be tested, and those 2 came back positive. So as one would say, the band plays on. There's maybe more cases proven to be positive because there are numbers sent off for testing. The main battle against COVID-19 has been one of containment. I think we can generally agree that once we adhere to the programs, so to speak, put in place not only locally but internationally about containment, the staying at home, the lockdown, the social distancing. This has proven to be very effective in containing the spread of the virus. I know it's a new norm for a lot of people. A lot of discomfort having to stay at home. We're normally very social persons going out to party on the strip. On the weekends, we gather, we congregate. Even the way we worship at church, that has changed. I'm not going to go in and talk about the New World Order because that creates a certain feedback from folks who feel that we are promoting this theory of one world, one New World Order, etc. It's just a new reality. In churches, those that dare or object to the regulations put in place, even though they're temporary. We hear of a certain pastor in the U.S. who defied the law, if you want to call it that, to shut down the church. He is now a victim of COVID-19, proven to be no respecter of persons. Whether you go by faith and you think, well, God will see you through or not, you have an obligation to your congregation to make sure that they follow all the instructions whereby they can be safe and to avoid and contain the spread. So I think tomorrow there'll be a partial lifting of the of the curfew. And last week, the government imposed what was called zoning. There was Zone A and Zone B, and those days were given as designated days for those areas, the geographical areas, to come and shop for food, emergency supplies, etc. And so I think from 4th Street, and I may stand to be corrected, eastwards to Saddlers or those areas was Zone A. So I had plans to come in town on those days, but no, I could not. Living in Sandy Point, I was geographically located in Zone B. So on that day, I came in town, and still, the shopping, the long lines at all the supermarkets was the reality. Folks had to stand in the sun for hours. This too shall pass. It's not going to continue indefinitely. In the meantime, it's a major discomfort that we have to bear with, given the alternative. I was able to take advantage of the fact that I'm a senior citizen. Even though at one point a young police officer came and challenged me. I said I am X age old. He said, no, I've got to see your ID. And so a friend of mine said, oh, you think you're 16? So yes, we have to conform and comply with the regulations put in by the authorities. They are for our own good. There are lots of discomfort created as a result. The alternative, we can take example of what has happened in other parts of the globe. There is this famous phrase about flattening the curve. We are not yet at that stage where we have a spike, and we have to take more drastic measures to flatten the curve. The fact is, the measures taken so far has proven effective. And once we continue for the next few days, I think on Saturday would be the end of the first official state of emergency. And they may reimpose another or not. That will have to be a cabinet decision. But that depends on the success rate of what we were able to accomplish so far. If we meet the standards of requirement, we've been able to contain X, Y, Z, blah, 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 then there should be a partial lifting of the, we'll be at the end of that first state of emergency. It will be left to the Parliament to use that measure to find out, use a yardstick to measure how effective it was, should they reimpose, what time frame. Frustration will be running high in various circles because, as I said before, this is not we were accustomed to. It's a brand new world, brand new reality, and post-COVID, things will not go back to what they were. I mentioned earlier that we should be at this time preparing for the 2020 hurricane season, which officially begins on June 1st, running to November. Over the past 4 years and beyond, we've been very, very fortunate in terms of avoiding any major structural damage here in St. Kitts in terms of the hurricanes that would have passed our way. Some say that we were blessed. And I said, no, because by that matrix, you're saying that the others who were affected were cursed. I said that we were extremely, extremely lucky. Not blessed or cursed, lucky. And that placed us in a position where we were able to assist others. Hopefully, should or when the tables turn, other territories will be in that same position or similar position to assist us in a time of need. So as bad as the current state of affairs are in terms of COVID-19, and it's a global issue, we know what could happen if we happen to have a hurricane season that impacts us negatively. So fingers crossed, this too shall pass. But we have to realize that things have changed. The concept of the people who are actually in need of financial relief, businesses, individuals, those in the hospitality industry, who has been really, really hit hard. You have the sentiments of others. Well, you're supposed to save for a rainy day. And all this, to a large extent, there's credence to that. One has to save for the inevitable and not depend on any government or institution to bail them out when things go bad. This is unprecedented. And so I would say any caring government in the face of what we're experiencing right now will step up to the plate. In the current situation, the PM says that in the first instance, they will be able to pay to folks affected up to $1,000 per month. On the first instance, we're looking at a 3 months time frame. And so let's take a person, say, working for, let's say KFC, okay? Their salary would be, say, $400 a month, and they've been negatively affected, they're laid off, etc. What the program tends to address, I understand, is to give them the difference. If your thing was, salary was $400 a month, you've been affected, I promise you $1,000, we will pay the difference, which will be about $600. So at the end of the day, you get your $1,000. For the person who asked me the question, he said, okay, I'm retired. I am receiving roughly $1,500 monthly from Social Security based on my contributions I would have made over the past 40, 50 years. But I've made an investment into a vehicle. My industry now has been affected. Do I qualify or not? Or are they going to tell me I'm getting $1,500 a month? My response to that $1,500 that you're getting, you would have earned based on the contributions. It has nothing to do with your business being impacted. They couldn't say to you, well, you're getting $1,500 a month, and so we can't assist you. That would make no sense. That is your money you would have put in. That's your contribution. Return based on that's your return based on your contribution. And so there are questions up there, and I think the Prime Minister, I'm told, will be making an announcement today, doing a press conference, press release, about 5 o'clock, maybe earlier. And about now, I think we should pause to give credit to those who would have sponsored the show. Commercial break is in order. We return after, and perhaps the lines will be, folks, be ready for taking calls. Thank you.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Okay, so we're back with Voices after that brief commercial break. There's also a concern in terms of folks who would have had their vehicles at this particular time should be reinsured. And the question is, what do we do at a point when the offices, the various insurance companies are closed? I heard there was a person from traffic who spoke about the government trying to accommodate persons whose driver's license and vehicle registration would have expired at this time. They offered an accommodation through an online service. They were told that certain fees would be waived, they would not be penalized, etc. But he said that we cannot entertain anyone driving without the proper insurance. So this creates a challenge for the folks whose vehicle registration insurance policy would have expired, say, a week ago. But the offices of the various insurance companies would have been closed. What do they do? Are they exposed? Is there some mechanism put in place whereby they can get this registration up to date online? And this brings us to the point where a lot of folks who have not access the various facilities of online banking and such would have to step up in the way we do business going forward. We have to embrace the technology of the modern age. If we're at an age where we don't really grasp or cannot really conform to that, somebody in our families will help us and walk us through what we need to do, so that in a case like this now, for example, tomorrow your telephone bill is due, even though there was a promise from the companies not to apply any late fees, penalties, you get in line. And you would have paid your bills, whether Social Security, whether it's a cable bill, telephone bill. This is now our new reality. And this is what we have to get ready to face in a post-COVID-19 world. You have any callers? Fellas, are you leaving me dry today? We have a number of taxi drivers with questions. I think they'll be shy today. And as we speak, we have a call online. Could they call you live on Voices?
Socrates.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to all the listeners.
Yes, man, sir. Go ahead.
Then I got trouble about the starving business today. But me want to prove to you this morning, Socrates.
Open the ball.
That me a good listener. So something that you said for the morning now.
Mm-hmm.
And so you will deny and tell me if you know so.
Okay, sir.
No. You use the word, we have been blessed. Then you go back and you say, no, some people might get vexed. So no, you deny the word blessed now and gone to lucky. Right or wrong?
Well, let me recap. I said in the passage, or after the passage of Hurricanes Irma and Maria, because St. Kitts didn't get any damage as compared to the other territories, some people, hear me clearly, Some
Yeah.
people said that we were blessed.
Yeah.
And I said no, because by that matrix or by that rationale, you're saying that the others who were affected were cursed. So my position was, and still is, that we were extremely lucky.
No.
And that put us in a position to assist others. And hopefully, when the tables would be turned, they would in return reciprocate. So that is
but
what
we
it said.
disagree.
Yes, yes.
Big time.
That's what I said.
You take away, look, God only asks us for one single thing, just the glory. That's all he asks us, to give me everything that we can enjoy. And I always say, look, just worship me, and he said, in our share glory with another. Now you're being blessed, and just because you please somebody else, one creature now, thank God, where even we get hit by the hurricane, just to please, you take the blessing.
No.
Come on, Socrates, I just cannot be right.
I did not take for any blessing. Go ahead. It's your call.
Repent for the one day. Repent for the one day. Because God not shaking. You are being blessed. Regardless of what the situation be, it could have been worse. Okay, Socrates, I'll be back with you later.
I get your point, but let me try to clarify for the folks who may have misunderstood what I said. There was a position taken, an opinion taken, that the fact that we were not directly negatively impacted by the hurricanes of Irma and Maria is that we here in St. Kitts and Nevis were blessed. And that may be the case. But that would say that the other people, the other persons, the other territories, St. Thomas, St. Martin, and those places, Puerto Rico, etc., that those folks were cursed. And I said, no, it's not about us being blessed, because if you take that argument, you're saying that they were cursed, we were blessed. I'm saying we were extremely lucky. I am not taking anything away from the glory of God and his blessings and his mercies. That was my interpretation, or my trying to clarify that thinking. If something happens to you, you're cursed. And I believe that when mercies come, there's a call on the line. Good morning, caller, your live on Voices.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am blessed.
You're blessed.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm happy to hear that you're blessed and you're not cursed.
Thank you, sir.
I'm a taxi operator, and I got a few calls from fellow taxi drivers.
Yes, sir.
As to the Social Security position, as to whether or not you are compliant, you're registered, you're up to date.
Compliant in terms of?
Compliant in terms of, if you're Social Security compliant, which means maybe you're registered and maybe you're up to date.
With
you
your
know,
payments.
but what drove me this morning to call in, I was listening to NBC this morning on the TV. I think the mayor was talking to the New Yorkers, and he was saying that this is a national crisis. This is a pandemic.
Yes.
And no New Yorkers is going to be left to be hungry. All New Yorkers is going to benefit, is going to get something. You know, and I really listened to him, and he was passionate.
Okay.
He wasn't trying to pick out. He didn't say whether rich, poor, Indian chief, or what. He said all New Yorkers. We didn't call this up on ourselves. And it's a sad situation of these small countries is probably going to suffer the most. And I want to know, as the host of the program, what is your opinion on the situation where you might have a considerable amount of people not up to date, or what we call Social Security compliant, but yet they're not being given a fair chance like everybody else who's saying, don't do this and don't do that, and you should have saved some people, saved some money before.
What do
Some
you mean
people
giving a
have
fair
money from
chance like
different
everybody
long
else?
time.
What do
Some
you
of the
mean?
persons that are making these decisions are getting their full salary. Some people who are making these decisions are getting their full thousands and thousands of dollars, getting their full salary. Some of them don't even know what it is to be hungry. And
Are you
those are the
saying
ones,
that a decision has
unfortunately,
been made?
making decisions for us.
Are you saying that a decision has been made?
No, but based on the news conference and based on what I'm hearing, you could sort of anticipate what they're trying to tell people. They're not saying it directly.
Okay.
But we're not fools. We're not foolish. We're at the bottom of the table, but we're not foolish people.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate for a moment, okay?
Yes, yes.
What do you say to the person who say, okay, I have been paying my Social Security contributions for X amount of years, and others have not been doing so? Why should they benefit now at the time that there's a disaster at the same level as I would benefit when they have not paid? What do you say to that?
I would say that it's a national crisis. And this is not the time to pick out. Because the repercussion towards picking out going to be far greater than paying everybody something and to make sure everybody have food on the table. I will look at it this way too. Some of the persons are most of the persons probably that is up to date was in a better position than the other man who was not up to date. Maybe that person, maybe they make the sacrifice, but maybe that person was in a better position financially to pay. And because others were suffering, they couldn't afford to pay. So,
well, you asked my opinion, and I would respond this way. It's not a social security program where you're paying people based on their contributions, because if a person would have not contributed, on the normal times, he or she does not qualify for any benefits. This is a national disaster, as you pointed out, and if it's a disaster relief fund, everyone who has been affected should qualify for it. The PM said up to $1,000. So if you were, say, employed in an industry that paid you X amount a week, they will make up the difference. You'll get your 1,000. So I think that's a rational way to approach it. He said in the first instance. Now the question is, it has been asked, do we keep paying? What happens now when we go back to the IMF? We know that there was a major achievement to get us from under the thumbs and tentacles of the IMF. But at the same time, you can't kick over the pail.
I love it. Good job.
Right. And we applaud him for that. But at the same time, in terms of managing the affairs of this disaster, when there's no time frame as to how long, he did say in the first instance it will be 3 months. What if it goes to 6 months? And beyond that, can the country sustain that? How would you respond to that?
Let me instead of answering that question directly, let me try to two scenarios. The roof program reach out to everybody. And I'm sure that sometimes the minimum cost to change one roof will make $15,000 and be up to $25,000.
Okay, average
for
cost.
one house. At the end of the year, right, you will spend $1 million to repair roofs. And because it was a fund provided for that. Whether or not that person is black, white, Labour, PAM, Unity or not, they would have gotten their roof repaired.
Okay.
Whether they had, whether their monthly salary was $5,000 to compare with somebody else who works in a factory for less than $2,000, if they would have gotten their roof repaired. And next example I want to say, let's suppose that a family at Frigate Bay who lives in a big house, who has money, but their daughter or son might have been working in a restaurant, and that restaurant closed down. They have the right to apply to just like anybody else.
Was it affected?
Whether or not, because they're affected.
Is one level, once you have been affected, you're working in the tourism, with the hospitality, transportation, you're working there, and your income has been directly affected. That's the language I heard.
I want to support you. I want to concur with you. And I think that you have the right approach concerning this thing and this pandemic.
What is the general consensus among your membership? What is the general consensus? What's the feel in terms of what you're discussing? What's the anticipation? What's the anticipation in terms of what should be paid out? What do you think the general body is saying? What's the position?
I'm not. I understand what you're saying about general body, but I'm feeling that our prime minister has a good heart. Like our prime minister comes from humble background, and our prime minister is going to look at the bigger picture and make the right decision. That is what I feel.
Fair enough. I would believe if he's not listening, this will get to him at some point, and he will thank you for those kind words. What about now? We're going to pause for a station ID and saying thanks to our sponsors, but thank you for your call, and we will entertain more calls like these here. Kalandri, I'm standing by waiting for you.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Fruta, taste the real Fruta, enjoy the real Fruta, refreshing juice of every day. Whoa, Fruta, drink the real Fruta, your favorite Fruta, the natural taste is Fruta. Fruta.
Your favorite fruit has got a new skin with real juice within. Drink the real Fruta. Enjoy the real joy.
Taste the real Fruta, enjoy the real Fruta, refreshing juice of every day is Fruta.
Fruta, juiced right.
And we're back live in the studios of Win FM 98.9. The numbers to call would be 664 0989 662 0989 762 089 for the local callers. For overseas line, we have 718 285 6984 and 305 921 4619. And we are back on the topic. COVID-19, the socio-economic fallout of the virus on our federation, current status, post-COVID, what it will look like for St. Kitts in terms of how we socialize, how we worship. Is it called on the line? How we worship, how we congregate, how we recreate. In terms of our learning institutions, what will be the modalities in going forward? This world has changed as we know it. In terms of shopping, banking, the institutions or the programs we have to put in place that will help us to address the online services. And I see a certain supermarket now offering delivery to all parts of the Federation. You have, as far as Sandy Point, I think it's $25 for delivery. And they ask that you're sending a shopping list before 1 o'clock on the previous day. And they're doing exact cash transactions or credit card, etc. So this means if you order in $300 worth of grocery, you get that in before 1 p.m. on that given day or the previous day. And when the delivery is made, you have that exact cash on hand to pay to the persons. So we're talking about cash on delivery. If not, you go through the using your debit card, your credit card, and that's a great accommodation for a lot of folks who will be challenging coming to towns, to the city or doing the shopping. We have zoning areas, Zone A, Zone B. Zone A from, I think it's East Street, heading east through the Saddles area, and on Zone B, heading westwards. Somebody suggested they should have 4 zones. And I think it was a trial balloon, whether it worked effectively. I think in everything we do right now, there'll be hiccups. So you send up a trial balloon, see how it works, and then you modify it. So whether or not, during the PM's address today, they speak about additional zones, etc., or zoning. One is left to wait and see how that comes about. So far, we have to commend the security folks who have been out actually doing yearman services. We've had some reports, unsubstantiated, of some persons complaining about the police being heavy-handed. That would be one side of the story. We would suggest that we wait to see the other side. Because these laws that were put in place is for the overall good of the people, the nation, our health collectively. And there were some violators. There were reports of how many were arrested, how many had to be prosecuted, etc. I've seen videos, actually, of police in pursuit of persons running through various alleys, etc. This has to be continued. There's a call on the line. Caller, you're live on Voices.
Good day. Good day, Mr. Horn.
Good day to you, sir.
Yeah, God's blessing to you. Greetings in the name of Jesus Christ, the only Savior of sinners, and second person of the eternal Trinity.
Lovely hearing from you.
Yes, first of all, and good day to all of your listeners, too. First of all, I would like to say, you know that during this time of this government-enforced shutdown and social distancing and that sort of stuff, only essential services are allowed to operate.
Quite so.
Non-essential services are not allowed to operate during the shutdown or lockdown. So that means, logically, since the churches are not allowed to open or operate during this time of shutdown or lockdown, that means the government is considering the churches to be
as non-essential?
Non-essential services. And not only that, all who agree with it, including the churches themselves. And as a matter of fact, they're not only agree, they're praising it. So that means even they consider themselves
non-essential?
to be non-essential services.
And they're thinking about the health of the congregation firstly?
They're speaking about the health of the condition.
The health of the congregation.
Remember again, only essential services are open. So it's due to the health of the situation, and only essential services are allowed to open. That means during this health situation, you're not considered to be an essential service. Okay? That is the logic of the situation. And the churches who agree with it and praising it, they also agree that they themselves are not an essential service as well.
I think they're essential in the fact that they're making sure that the health of the congregation come first. You mentioned a number of other pastors, so it's not like because there's a story, and this is proven, of a certain pastor who defied what seemed to be common sense or a common sense approach to the containment to avoid the spread. He is now on the list of, as a victim, he died.
Well, I'm aware, so I'm not like to adjust that matter. But the thing is now, the thing is, you're allowed, the police them can get sick and spread it just like anybody else. The doctors, the nurses, and all who are considered to be essential service, they can spread it and get sick.
Lots of doctors died.
Anybody else. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So it ain't the church alone is the open would be spreading it. Even what is considered to be essential services, they too can be spreading it.
Quite
okay?
so. Quite so.
But the mere fact that you're going to allow them to open and not the church, you are saying, you're saying these people are essential and the churches are not essential.
Okay, here's what. Make the case. Make the case as the church being an essential service at this particular point in time. Make the case.
definition as essential service because you're saying even when things are well, even when things are well, if things get critical, these are what are all the time considered to be essential services. So therefore, in terms of critical conditions, these that are considered to be essential services, evening goods and only these would be open and operating, even though they themselves can get sick and still be spreading the same virus. So not allowing the church to open, and the church agreeing with that, you're also saying logically the churches are not essential services. No, churches that are operating biblically, they are the most essential service in society.
Quick question. Do you have to go into a church to worship?
No.
They're not taking away your right to worship. They're saying to congregate in that mass cannot be entertained if you want to contain the spread. This does not preclude you from worshiping. The same churches now have the ability to reach out to the congregation, to the membership, through an internet stream. So it does not preclude them from worshiping. They're saying that worship is banned because it's a non-essential service. They said the churches, in the way they gather to worship, proves a health risk to the nation and, a large. So...
But even the police and that sort of stuff, they prove a health risk to the nation too.
Quite so.
Because they can spread it, they can get sick and they can
They
spread
also put their lives on the line. So it's a risk,
they
but...
also put their lives on the line. Likewise, if you're an essential service, you're allowed to put your life on the line. The churches are not allowed to put their lives on the line, so they're not essential service. Now I'm going to talk to this worship thing.
Go ahead.
You can worship individually in your own private capacity. You can do that, but as a church or as an assembly corporate worship service, you cannot do that online. There's no such thing as a virtual church or assembly corporate worship service. There's no such thing as that. There's no allowance in the Bible for that. Everywhere in the Bible, you see a church or an assembly worship service. It is always, without exception, where the saints gathers physically in one physical place to worship as a church service, and therefore there they observe the Lord's Supper. There they exhort each other. There, if necessary, they rebuke one another if necessary.
What happened to the concept of there are two or three gathered in my name?
Hello?
What of the concept that if there are two or three gathered in my name, that's a church, not really a larger congregation? These are not normal times, Gregory. These are times where people have to adjust the entire thinking as to how we socialize, we congregate, etc. And the church is, I think they understand that. The health of the pastors and the congregation come first. This is not something indefinitely imposed on a people. This too shall pass. It's an interim measure. I think any pastor or leader of any congregation who would encourage his membership to gather in, as we did in the past, say pre-COVID-19, that person would be irresponsible. That's just my take.
Yeah,
but it's your call.
Let me say this as well.
Yes, sir.
From all eternity, God knows of the COVID-19, He knows of the Black Death, He knows of all the sicknesses that was to come, that are in the past where we are concerned, and those in the future. And if any worse that is to come that are still in the future, He already knows of it, okay?
Yes, sir.
And yet He made no exception in the Bible, in the scriptures, for when God had His scriptures to be written, He could have done it, but in God having His scriptures to be written, He made no exception of a corporate or an assembly worship service to be anything other than a physical gathering of the saints in one physical place to worship Him. For example, if you read, for example, Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25, where He says, do not neglect meeting together. It always was, as demonstrated in the Bible, a physical gathering of the saints in one physical place for it to be considered to be a worship or a corporate an assembly service. It's never anything other than that. Now the thing is, if during this time of COVID-19, I can be a part of a church without physically being present, then why couldn't that have been so? And after this go, how now you could come tell me I have to go to church to be a part of the church? So why I still can't look at it over the internet and still be a part of it?
The fact that you have thought of it, I know there are others who are listening and there are people who will actually support what you're saying, so this is not the end of that debate. I still believe, though, that this is an interim measure and that when a state of emergency is declared, except for, we'll get back in trouble now because we're talking about essential workers, and you're saying that the or essential services, and you're saying that the churches should be designated as essential services.
A church that is operating as biblical is the most essential service.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerning that pastor. But we're concerning that pastor, okay?
Yes.
No, that pastor, in his reason, in his thinking, and in those who think like him, would tell you that they were obeying Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25, and therefore what they were doing in obedience to the Bible was something essential before the eyes of God in meeting together. And just like all the other essential services, they too can attack it and die from it. So if in his reason and others who think like him consider it to be an essential service, and he died in doing that essential service, he's no different than the police and so who are operating and who can still die from it.
I understand. When we read in the scripture that Christ was in the wilderness for 40 days a night away from people, was he like social distancing?
If he was social distancing?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, obviously that was a social distancing.
So it's a time for everything. So then there's a time for everything.
Yeah,
there's a time to gather, there's time to...
Right, there's a time for everything. But what I'm saying is that was a voluntary social distancing, not a government-enforced distancing, which is two different things. Because you see, God, right, did not give any government unlimited authority. So therefore, to know what is the authority of the government, what it is limited to, what is its boundaries, what is the boundaries of the church and so on, and the authority that God has given each phase in life, you have to go to the Bible to check out that, because the saints in the Bible many times disobey the government.
I think the majority of the people in St. Kitts Nevis are Christian believers.
Yeah, but the Christian believers in the Bible also, they knew of the limits and authority that God has given to the government and what the Jews do. And many times the saints in the Bible disobey the government when they overstep the biblical bounds.
I attended a funeral a few weeks ago of the matriarch Miss Byron, of the Byron family. And within the congregation, within the pews, we were sitting at least 4 to 6 feet apart from each other. That was a funeral that would have attracted a much larger turnout because of the status she enjoyed in St. Kitts, the respect for her family, etc. But people chose not to go because of the current state of affairs, the potential threat to their health, the potential community spread. People took all those into consideration, and I think that is the position of the various leaders of the various churches on St. Kitts Nevis to forego this mass gathering, that form of worship for a time. For a time.
But what I'm telling you, okay, is that let the churches then decide that because that is.
I think the churches were implying it wasn't.
It's not for the government to decide that. For the churches, it's not in the Bible. It's actually going against the Bible. For government to be telling a church how and when to worship.
I would argue that they were consulted, and the opinion was I think it was in consultation with the churches. I don't believe it was an edit formed by the government. Well, you have to. I think this was in collaboration, and this is why we have it. And I think you should applaud it also because if for instance, the opposite, if for instance that this was not adhered to, and you had a much larger number of, in terms of people who were affected, and we had death. We have not had any. You may have been one to say that the government didn't come out to help protect the church. So we can't have it both ways.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, you see, too many times the church does back what is wrong, the church does back. Because, for example, a large amount of the church back slavery, a lot of money church back Hitler.
Quite so. So they're wrong at times.
Huh?
They're wrong at times, we know that.
They're wrong, and this is one this time.
One of the things they're wrong about.
Wrong.
One of the things they're wrong about, right? The church.
Hello?
One of the things that the church is wrong about, and I would like you to call back on that at some point, is explain to me how Friday to Sunday is 3 days.
Okay, that's a different topic altogether.
That's what it said.
But
At another time, because this is what the church has been preaching for decades, explain to me how Friday to Sunday comes 3 days.
Okay, but as you said, that's another topic for another time, which I can explain clearly. But what I'm saying is that the Bible tells us the different spheres and authorities and limits of each sphere in that, including the church, the businesses, government, and that sort of stuff. And instead, the church instructing the government as to its biblical limits and authorities and duties. Instead of that, the church is also backing the government, and I'm not just talking to saying it only, but in too many places of the world, to go beyond and above their biblical limits. And now if a church want to stop services, want to this voluntarily, I'm not against that. If a church decides to do that, but what I'm against is that for the government.
Do you have any report or any evidence that the government? Do you have any reports or any evidence that the government dictated to the church that they must shut down without any form of consultation with the chamber, not the chamber, sorry, the Christian Council and those? Do you have any evidence?
But what about consultation above all else with the Bible and what the Bible says? That is really
if the pastor of the church is representing the church and Christ, well, they're the spokespersons at the moment.
Right, sir? You think?
If the pastor of the various churches are representatives of Christ, then they are the spokesperson, and they have to look after the flock first and foremost. They're now the shepherds who have to look after the flock's safety first and foremost. Right, but this is not hard. This is not hard.
But what I'm saying, when they advise the government to go beyond what the scripture says, the pastors are no longer acting as representative of Christ. They are actually acting as representative of worldly wisdom, of worldly counsel, and not of biblical counsel. And too many times the churches do that, and they go against the Bible in not giving people biblical wisdom and counsel. And this is why they're doing it. They did it many times. They did it during the time of slavery, they did it during the time of Hitler, they do it during many other different times. And this is another time because the Bible itself lets us know the duties and the limits of each space in life.
Okay, here's what.
And to tell church how and when to worship, even with the backing of the church, is still wrong because it goes against the Bible.
Okay, Gregory, here's what.
You're supposed to consult the Bible above all else.
As the moderator of this program today, I'm not supposed to be arguing with you or trying to shoot at your points. I'm supposed to entertain your opinions and hope that somebody else will call in and try to, shed light to what you're saying or, So, sorry if you find I was pushing back on your ideas. It's just that in this discourse, we have to view it from both sides. So I got your point. We're about 4 minutes up to the 12 o'clock midday news broadcast. Let's see if any other caller have any input before we get to that. But you're free to call back later. And then as I said, another point, I need you to explain to me how Friday to Sunday comes 3 days. Okay?
Yeah, I can easily explain that. But
next time, Gregory.
But since today, I'm showing you how the church has considered themselves, along with the government, to be non-essential services.
Thank you very much for your contribution.
You cannot do church service worship over line. You cannot do it.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Right? All right, sir? All right. We know that televangelists collect monies online. So if they have the apparatus in place to collect contributions for the churches online, why not? How can they not hold services via that accommodation? So that's a whole other debate because It's up there. Send me your money. Even back in the day when we didn't have the internet, they would go on the various radio stations and people would mail in. They got their listen in the homes. I grew up in a home where every morning was PJ2, we had Brother Mayor, we had the various televangelists, well, not televangelists back then, but radio broadcasters preaching the gospel in the homes of millions around the world. And people would mail in their contributions in terms of the monies that they asked for. So it's hard for me to entertain today that churches cannot conduct services online. We have 10 minutes to the 12 o'clock hour. And today's topics covered the socio-economic, well, I was hoping to entertain callers on that, the socio-economic and political fallout of COVID-19 at a time when elections are due within 4 months, at a time when we should be preparing for the 2020 hurricane season due to start on June 1st. What it could portend for us in terms of preparedness would we be so lucky as over the past 4 years? So we are in a scenario where we're not out of the woods yet. I'm not preaching gloom and doom, but I'm saying that as we have celebrated over the years how lucky we were and how blessed we were, we now have to look at tightening our belts and preparing for what could be a long haul. Hopefully, at the end of May into June, things will be back to a sort of normalcy, sense of normalcy as it relates to pre-COVID-19, what's happening now and after. Who knows? We keep our fingers crossed. I trust that Voice It will be on the air to reach out to the people throughout the diaspora, bring information, updates, news, and offering a platform for discourse, as we've done today. In the meantime, we pause again for station break and the media news. I'll be back with you after the luncheon interlude.
Here comes the sun.
Sun quick.
Here comes the sun.
Sun quick.
Sunny flavors for everyone. Natural, tasty, full of vitamin C. The drink for the whole family. It's Sunquick. Sunquick Drink Concentrate gives you 40 glasses. 9 delicious flavors to choose from.
Orange tropical mango.
Peach orange, orange apricot, black currant.
Apple. Red orange. Red fruit.
Bursting with vitamin C.
Sun quick.
Natural, tasty, full of vitamin C. The drink for the whole family. It's Sunquick.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 30 days of unlimited social messaging, 10 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, and 1,000 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $100. Keep your number when you switch to St. Kitts' most reliable LTE network. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the Win FM Headline News. The Win FM Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, Carib Brewery, CNC Trading. Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Dealing well with a local reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we've got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters. Live, love, be.
Cruise ships won't be hitting the high seas again anytime soon. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention extended a no-sail order that it imposed last month to help quell the spread of the coronavirus. While the March 14 order was intended as a voluntary measure to stay in place for 30 days, the new one could last longer. The CDC order states that cruise ships can't board passengers and return to their sailing schedule until one of three events takes place: expiration of the Department of Health and Human Services declaration that COVID-19 constitutes a public health emergency, the CDC's director's own decision to modify or rescind its no-sail decision, passage of 100 days from the time the new order is published in the Federal Register. Until then, the about 100 cruise ships in the Atlantic, Pacific or Gulf of Mexico must remain idle, either in port or wallowing at anchor, the CDC said. Those ships currently have nearly 80,000 crew aboard. Tourism Minister Lindsey Grant is acknowledging that the ministry as a whole are being hard hit by COVID-19. He points to expected significant economic fallout in tourism and manufacturing.
The ministries to which I have the honor and the privilege to lead at the moment, I suspect are the ones that are hardest hit. And I speak about the tourism industry, and I speak about the manufacturing industry. And if I were to look at the last recorded indicators coming from the World Travel and Tourism Council, the WTTC, it has indicated that tourism accounts for some 26% of our GDP, while manufacturing accounts for somewhere in the region of 9% of our GDP. And so between the tourism industry and the manufacturing industry, we are speaking about somewhere in the region of 35% of the GDP. In fact, the WTTC, the World Travel and Tourism Council, has also indicated that 1 in 4 jobs in St. Kitts and Nevis is either directly or indirectly a result of tourism. And so therefore, the effects of the COVID-19 is significantly impacting the tourism industry. And we have since February, we held one of our first meetings with the stakeholders in the industry to alert them as to what we considered to be happening in the industry and what would be the fallout.
Minister Grant was speaking on a government media program dubbed Leadership Matters.
The Navy Sea and Seaports Authority, in collaboration with Customs and Immigration, continues to play a significant role in reducing the spread of COVID-19.
General Manager of NASPA, the Nevis Air and Seaport Authority, Oral Brandy.
From the onset of this pandemic, we recognize our functions are critical, not only with respect to the control of the virus, but the continuous facilitation of trade, especially of food and medical supplies.
He has been reminding Nevisians what kind of services NASPA is able to provide during the lockdown. Brandy referred to 3 main aspects of NASPA's operation: working hours, cargo movement, and passenger movement.
The Long Point Port is open to the general public only during the partial curfew days. That is, days in which the lockdown is from evening to morning, usually 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. We operate during the hours of 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. While we are open to all customers, we encourage persons to visit the port for the clearance of their cargo only if such goods are urgently needed. Or alternatively, you may use an agent or a broker. It's important that we allow those essential businesses and service entities to have their commodities cleared and delivered. Kindly note that NASPA will not charge rental or storage fees for cargo during the restrictive days and weeks. In terms of the other areas of cargo operation, vessels would be worked, that is, offloaded or loaded on arrival, even late into the night. This is necessary for the critical continuous flow of cargo in the region in times like these. As I indicated earlier, it is of utmost importance that food, cleaning, and medical supplies are delivered in a timely manner. We still accommodate air cargo carriers such as FedEx, DHL, and Coastal Air at the airport.
The NASPA official also reiterated the position on passenger movement at the ports.
Where passengers are concerned, the airport, Holy Water Taxi Facility, and the Charlestown Port are closed to passenger movements, except for emergency or medical reasons as per the COVID-19 regulations. However, anyone who performs an essential service, or if you believe that you have a very good reason to travel within or outside of the Federation, permission must first be sought from the Police Commissioner or Attorney General, as the case may be. The port will only assist or facilitate your movement if such permission was received.
General Manager Brandy's update was given at the Nevis Daily Media Briefing on Monday. Reports in the Federation are indicating that a vessel from Guadeloupe which entered the country's territorial waters illegally was intercepted by the St. Kitts and Nevis Coast Guard. MyViewNews.com makes reference to a statement by local police indicating that the pilot of the vessel explained that the boat was destined for another nearby territory but diverted to St. Kitts and Nevis because it was low on fuel. The vessel was reportedly refueled and escorted out of the Federation's waters. The police are quoted as saying that no one disembarked from the vessel. Guadeloupe is one of the islands in the region that reportedly has high numbers of COVID-19 cases.
The number of confirmed positive cases of coronavirus in St. Kitts and Nevis has increased to 14. Minister of Health Senator Wendy Phibbs gave the numbers on Tuesday.
The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis would have received the results of 12 tests that would have been sent to CARPHA, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, and those samples would have been sent off on the 13th, which is yesterday. These are from 12 persons of contacts who had already been placed in quarantine when their contacts received the confirmation of their test results. The results were received today in very quick time, and of the 12 tests, 10 were negative and 2 were positive. These persons who tested positive were already in quarantine and will remain in isolation as per our protocol that has been in place from the very beginning. These 2 cases reside on St. Kitts, and of these 2 cases, one was a close contact of a positive case and was already in quarantine, as stated earlier. The second, however, is a family member of a suspected case already in quarantine.
She confirmed the cases were local spread.
And these 2 cases, of course, represent local spread of the virus within that household. Let me repeat that sentence. These 2 positive cases represent local spread of the virus within that household. It doesn't say within our community, within that household.
The minister spoke to contact tracing currently underway in the Federation.
We continue with our vigorous contact tracing and quarantine and isolation procedures in order to keep the virus under control, and we continue to stress the importance of personal responsibility in our efforts to control the disease. We are thankful, however, that to date, all of our positive cases are doing well and recovering, and that we have had no hospital admissions or deaths with regards to COVID-19. To date, some 234 persons have been tested, and of course, with the 14 positive results that have been mentioned. And if I could go a little further and now do an updated breakdown or distribution of the 14 cases, 10 of these cases are in St. Kitts and 4 are on Nevis.
Government is reviewing existing shopping and other arrangements for the Thursday, 16th April lifting of the Federation's 24-hour curfew, now in place since Saturday, 11th April. The Governor General, Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, proclaimed a state of emergency and COVID-19 regulations effective 20th March until 11th April, on advice of Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris, after 2 confirmed cases of COVID-19 were announced. The Governor General granted an extension of the state of emergency until Saturday, 18th April, after 11 confirmed cases were reported on the 6th of April. A 24-hour curfew was then announced from Saturday, 9th April to Thursday, 16th April. With anticipation building for a chance to leave the confinement of living spaces, some are worried about facing long shopping lines, especially at supermarkets, where some have had the experience of spending as many as 5 hours in a line in recent times. Attorney General Vincent Byron, speaking at a recent briefing of the National Emergency Operations Center, explained that government was reviewing the current arrangements.
The Cabinet will be reviewing the days when there is to be limited curfew, when individuals may leave their homes for very special reasons. We had hoped that that would be mainly for emergencies such as visits to the hospital or medical facilities, more importantly, well, just as importantly for food. And we did hear the Director of Agriculture indicate that for a short window, Monday last week, seedlings would have been available. That has to be reviewed, and we will be making a further announcement along that line.
Other Caribbean countries are grappling with similar issues. Barbados, for example, has implemented 2 days per week with specific times for people to shop and do business based on the first letter of their surname. The Bahamas has allotted 3 business days per person based on specific hours, also using the surname formula.
Jamaica's Health Minister Christopher Tufton has reported the island's largest increase in a 24-hour cycle of positive tests for COVID-19 of 32. This brings the total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Jamaica to 105. Speaking at a press briefing Tuesday, the minister informed the nation that of the new lot of 32 positives, 5 were males and 27 females.
So Jamaica can now confirm that we have 105 cases of COVID-19. This follows 32 new additions over the last 24 hours. The new cases comprise of 5 males and 27 females who range in ages from 19 to 70 years old. The cases are from St. Catherine, Kingston, and St. Andrew. They bring to 34 the number of cases under investigation. Of the remaining 71 confirmed cases, 31 are imported, 34 are contacts of a confirmed case, and 6 are local transmission. The vast majority of the 32 additions, indeed 31 of the 32, are linked to a call center located in the Portmore area, Ulrika Intervention. This facility has a staff complement based on the staff registry of some 787 workers. We have so far in our intervention 258 individuals have been interviewed and sampled. 65 of those tests have come back, and of that number, 33 samples have come back positive. 2 were announced a few days ago, so 31 since today. A senior team from the ministry visited the entity on the weekend, in fact, during the course of the holiday weekend, and the entity has since closed.
Focusing on recovery, quarantine, and isolation currently, Minister Tufton indicated that 21 persons have recovered from COVID-19, 20 are in quarantine, and 65 are in isolation. To date, Jamaica has tested 1,290 samples with 105 confirmed positives and 1,185 negatives. The Prime Minister of Dutch St. Martin has been giving the latest COVID-19 figures in that territory. Prime Minister Silverio Jacobs gave the figures in an address on Tuesday.
In self-quarantine, we have now 90 persons. In self-isolation, 161. The decrease is due to the persons coming out of the isolation period, 7 days since symptoms onset, and 3 days no fever, and 24 hours no signs and symptoms. A majority of these persons were family members of cases and also in isolation beyond this defined period and recovered. So that says that our number of self-isolation cases are down to 161 as a result of persons coming out of their isolation period, and self-quarantine down to 90. The total number of persons tested is now at 161. The number positive is 53, of which 4 are hospitalized at St. Martin Medical Center. 1 remains in critical condition on a ventilator. The other 3 are in stable condition. Of the 53, 35 are males and 18 are females. The number of persons testing negative from the 161 is 92. The number pending results are 15, and 1 remains inconclusive.
So far, 9 people have died from the virus in Dutch St. Martin. Let's now join CNC3 News in Port of Spain to hear about a family based in France who got the coronavirus.
Well, I'm going to introduce you to Carla Ottawa. Carla is 38 years old. She's a Trinidad and Tobago national who's now living in France. She migrated last year. She got married and went to the city of love. She has 2 young children, a 10-month-old and a 22-month-old. She also has a 53-year-old brother who flew to Paris to see her about a month and a half ago. But then the borders closed and he's also stuck there. What makes their story unique? Almost every single member of her family in that household, including herself, they've all been diagnosed with COVID-19 in a city where the health system is crashing and they continue to fight for their life. She has a message for Trinidad and Tobago as well as her story. She posted on social media, and the reason I contacted her was she felt the need to go public with her story because she wanted Trinidad and Tobago and the rest of the world to know that anyone can get this. I'm going to read us exactly what she'd posted. Everyone is at home and looking at what's taking place. The fact is she gave all of the symptoms, and the fact is she's not going back to normal. She's spoken about her new normal. Everyone at my home has COVID-19. So I thought that we would list all of the symptoms and the treatments because they cover a range of age groups and genders. My husband has it most severely, her husband Justin, and was taken to the hospital. They never administered a test because the doctors said that they were 99.9% sure that he has COVID. But simply, there were no more test swabs at the hospital when she and her husband went there. She speaks about the stories of her husband, who's 28 years old, her brother, who's 53 years old, the symptoms of her 2 children, who are 22 months old and 10 months old, and also she, as a caregiver and a mother, looking at the entire family and the entire household battle with this unknown virus. Carla, good morning. How are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm fine. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us, first of all.
Sure.
I know it must be very difficult to have this conversation, so I do appreciate you agreeing to share your story this morning. Let's start with, you went to Paris last year, very late last year, November of 2019.
Yeah, before all this started.
And tell me a little bit about your first interactions with COVID in Europe and when things started to get a little crazy in France.
I think, like the rest of the world, we started to hear about it in late December. And at that time, it was actually a strike going on in France. So the subways were extremely crowded at peak hours. So, where I work, it's actually a tourist attraction. It's the Tour Montparnasse. So I was aware of the situation, and we were all like, just keeping an eye on it. But when things started to pick up with the rest of the world, and we saw what was happening, and WHO declared it a pandemic. We started to get a little more worried, and then France imposed lockdown restrictions. So we actually can't go outside without a pass, which we have to do electronically online and download onto our phones or write it out on a form. And you could get fined up to, I think it's like a couple €100. So if you go out without this pass.
You talk about the restrictions starting. So obviously at the beginning of the year, things started to get very different for Europe in particular. You saw the story with Italy, you saw the story with Spain and France, all being identified as being the worst hit in Europe.
Yeah.
Did you ever think, who was the first person that was diagnosed with COVID in your household? And what were the precautions that you were taking before?
Well, I work in an industry that we work with aviation, so I interact with a lot of my colleagues. They travel frequently, and a lot of them have been to like Italy and Spain just before the lockdown started in France. So I knew that I was high risk. So some of the things I did is like when I get home, before my kids even come near me, my husband would like kind of keep them away, and I would take off my coat, my jacket, I'd go wash my hands, my face, everything before they could touch me or before I interact with them. This was like normal for us for the months leading up to the lockdown, and then when there was a lockdown, then I had to work. We all transitioned into working from home and just not being able to go out really, how we wanted to. So the only essential things we can leave for, which is the supermarket, the pharmacy, and you can go for a short exercise close to your home, but that's it.
When did you first suspect that were you the first person to be diagnosed with COVID?
No, well, we all started to get sick. My husband was actually the first to get sick, probably about 19 days ago. But we, like when it now happened, I was searching. I mean, we were all worried that it could possibly be COVID-19. So we were looking for symptoms online, and I couldn't really find a comprehensive list. Everything listed fever and a cough, but we didn't know what else to look for. And he got sick, then he started to feel okay. Then I got sick, and I had just a fever for one day. And I had headaches and body pains, but it wasn't severe. My symptoms were tolerable. Then my husband, he relapsed and he got really, really sick. Like he had high fever, the cough, body pains. We all had a loss of taste and smell. He had a loss of appetite. He was nauseous, tired. He had pain in his chest. And about that same time, my brother got sick, and he got the fever and the cough, the sore throat, things like that. Shortly after that, both my daughters got fever. So that's when I was kind of really worried, because although there's no information saying that it affects kids in the same way as adults, it's still unknown to us, and so it was a little bit worrying. It was actually a lot worrying to have them sick, and they are fully recovered, and I am okay. My husband and my brother, they're still recovering.
This is Reuters Now.
Global condemnation has followed Donald Trump's decision on Tuesday to halt the United States' funding of the World Health Organization.
Today I'm instructing my administration to halt funding of the World Health Organization while a review is conducted to assess the World Health Organization's role in severely mismanaging and covering up the spread of the coronavirus.
He accused the World Health Organization of making dangerous and disastrous decisions.
As the organization's leading sponsor, the United States has a duty to insist on full accountability. One of the most dangerous and costly decisions from the WHO was its disastrous decision to oppose travel restrictions from China and other nations. They were very much opposed to what we did. Fortunately, I was not convinced and suspended travel from China, saving untold numbers of lives. Thousands and thousands of people would have died.
The World Health Organization has yet to directly respond to President Trump's decision, but UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said now is the time for unity and for the international community to work together in solidarity to stop this virus and its shattering consequences. Writing on Twitter, Bill Gates said halting funding for the World Health Organization during a world health crisis is as dangerous as it sounds. Their work is slowing the spread of COVID-19, and if that work is stopped, no other organisation can replace them. Australia's Treasurer Josh Frydenberg said on Wednesday that his country won't follow the United States' lead and will continue its funding, but
that doesn't mean that we've agreed with them on everything, and the Prime Minister has been very clear about the wet markets, for example. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's extraordinary that the World Health Organization sees it fit for these wet markets to continue in China. They shouldn't. I mean, they've been the source of outbreaks that have killed people around the world.
Nearly 2 million people have been infected by the virus and more than 124,000 have died since the disease emerged in China late last year. The United States is the biggest donor of the World Health Organization. Last year it contributed $400 million, roughly 15% of its budget.
That was the Win FM headline news, brought to you by KDP Enterprises, Caribbean Alliance, Carrie Brewery, CNC Trading, The Grange.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters. Live, love, be.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tilly Wall with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Delia Walwyn, people you can trust.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM. Win FM weather.
Today's weather comes through the kind compliments of Sweet Cane.
With a is the last time that you've had lunch or dinner away from home? The ambience of Sweet Cane on Port Zante provides you with that touch. Sweet Cane daily specials include burgers, wraps, soup, and tasty seafood dishes. Sweet Cane also caters for events and special parties. Call our Sweet Cane hotline at 465-4345 or 665-7628. Sweet Cane, they've got the touch.
Today's weather generally settled. The weather will persist across the area as high pressure along with low moisture levels dominate weather conditions. Today, partly sunny with a 30% or low chance of showers. Tonight, partly cloudy with a 20% or slight chance of showers. Winds east-northeast today and the east tonight, ranging from 8 to 15 knots. Seas 0.9 to 1.5 meters or 3 to 5 feet. Sunset today will be at 6:27 p.m. Sunrise tomorrow at 5:54 a.m. That's your weather forecast for today. Comes with the kind compliments of Sweet Cane.
When is the last time that you've had lunch or dinner away from home? The ambience of Sweet Cane on Port Zante provides you with that touch. Sweet Cane daily specials include burgers, wraps, soup, and tasty seafood dishes. Sweet Cane also caters for events and special parties. Call our Sweet Cane hotline at 465-4345 or 665-7628. Sweet Cane, they've got the touch.
Found the sound 98.9. Win FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the second segment of Voices. It's approximately 20 minutes to the hour 1 o'clock, and I suspect most folks would have had themselves a nice sumptuous lunch. In the first segment of today's edition, we discussed a variety of things. Got a caller that spoke about the potential breakdown of monies to be paid to folks, self-registered, self-employed persons in terms of, against the backdrop of what was promised by the Prime Minister in the COVID-19 Relief Fund. I've had a couple of callers who got in touch with me via WhatsApp saying they were trying to get in on the topic. And we have a caller to speak. Caller, welcome. You're live on Voices.
Socrates.
Yeah. Yes, sir. How about now?
We recognize that you know go for your sponsors for the second, but we need to get in before.
My failing. Sorry about that.
So let me apologize to them.
Yes, sir.
All right. Sponsors, I apologize that Socrates not come to it before. So look,
yes,
Socrates.
Sir. Mm-hmm.
How we done work on Greg's problem, right?
I don't know that I have.
Greg Dustal, a consultant to work out the diagnosis. Greg usually calling to get people angry. Right?
I don't know, but, it's a platform for everyone to call and hear the views, so, we entertain all.
Socrates, you listen to me and I listen to me.
Yes, sir. My apologies.
Right. So Greg usually calling to get people angry. The Bible says angry, but sin not. Well, we're part of the church, and we can manfully say that. The other day, I asked Greg one question to Mr. Bacchus, and Greg took the question. The question was, Greg, if me in one congregation and you know that me got the COVID, would you come and sit alongside of me? Greg answer Mr. Bacchus and tell Mr. Bacchus, he don't know. Greg a big man. And Greg no easy to come and sit on side of me. Well, me know that Greg no to come and sit on side of me. We ask another question again, but this one will never pose. So, Socrates, please, the next time Greg come back and ask Greg this question for me, please. The 14 cases, would Greg go and pray for them and protected? Just ask Greg that for me, please. And then we recognize one more, Megan. Then we recognize that Greg, like you don't understand what the church means. There is only one single church from the North Pole to the South, East to West. One single church. You get that, Socrates?
I'm listening to you loud and clear.
One single church of America, church of Moshe, church of Saint Kitts, church, one single church.
One foundation.
One single. Whatever that about, no church, no. the assemblies. And Greg must recognize, and then we recognize that Greg done it.
I wouldn't describe that he called for any ulterior.
That's one you do to care for humanity. And you have to love your neighbors yourself. And if you know what this is, why you want people, the government not do nothing wrong. All right? Greg, the government, and you must stop this stupidness. Okay, then, Socrates.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Talbot, I know you're trying to get in. Costello, those guys as judge trying to get in on the line. So the lines are open. The numbers are 664-0989, 662-0989 for those who are calling locally. For the overseas lines, you've got 718-2859-6948 and 305-921-4619. The lines are open. Please free to call with your contributions, and let's try to keep it, civil. Gregory, I want to ascribe any particular ulterior motive for him calling. He calls his views, which may clash with what you think. And there's a call on the line. Caller, welcome. You're live on Voices.
Hello.
Good afternoon. You're live on Voices.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
I was wondering whether something wrong with your line.
Lovely hearing your voice
the
today.
Lines are open. They just keep ringing. And all of the numbers that you call out, some of them, I don't know. Well, what I wanted to ask is this. Talk about some of these payment for, like, your utilities and so on, right?
Yes.
And you talk about paying online. But is there any consideration given to persons in the home, right? That there are persons who don't have access to that technology.
Correct.
Whether it's a computer or whatever. And even if they do, some may not know how to maneuver that technology. Fair enough. Okay, I understand when you said that someone in the home can help. But consideration has to be given also that there may be some people who live alone, who have nobody to show them.
Yes,
and even if they have somebody to show them, remember, people are put under this curfew. They cannot really go to visit anybody.
It's a major challenge.
And the next thing, those who may be able to get online and to access the site, I hear you say something about paying, and I'm here wondering, how are they going to pay if they have the money? How are they going to pay? But I don't think you made any provision in your deliberations this morning to let people know how they're going to go about doing that, whether they're going to use credit cards or whatever. And then this brings in another concern. There are persons who may not have access to these different kinds of, cards.
Payment methods, yes.
So in the interim, persons who would like to pay their utilities, their bills, what provision will be made for those persons? Can there be a day or two open up? If it is already done, I mean, you can refresh people's mind, but if not, can a day or two be given for persons to go and pay their bills? Not the same day where people have to buy food and all of that. And another thing, we hear about essential workers. At some point, every service is going to become essential to everybody at some point. A lot of these other services cannot be shut down indefinitely, so to speak. The hardware stores around this time is now essential to citizens. There's going to come a time when the places where where they're selling parts for vehicles and they need to go see a mechanic is going to become an essential service. If somebody's refrigerator goes down or stove needs fixing, it is an essential service at some point. And talking about persons getting permission from the commissioner of police, let's say somebody wants something done in the house. It's an essential service that needs to be restored. You get in permission from the police, in order for that person to go to that person's house. I don't know what sense that makes. And I said, is the commissioner of police has the wherewithal to call in that person, to test that person whether that person has COVID? So if you're going to say, well, okay, yes, you can go, just to say yes, or ask permission just to say yes, we don't know people's status. So listen, this thing is just more and more confusing to me. I'm looking ahead. I don't know what will happen. Suppose we are locked down for 6 months, 7 months to come, then what? I heard you talk about the expression flattening the curve and something about peaking. I don't know. What do we know here about peaking? When we talk about peak, we are looking at an anticipated number of cases. If there is such, what's the anticipated number of cases for us to say that it has peaked?
I think we're following global trends, but we're going by per capita. I think we're going by per capita. And let me tell you something. You, with your contributions, is a vital part of... You represent the people you need to hear from. You're bringing points that I wouldn't have thought of. People are listening who I believe will take these suggestions on board. So you are a vital part of the solution. So you're doing what you want to do, calling, express your concerns, with the hope that the persons in authority will take these suggestions, recommendations on board while they're crafting policies.
Listen.
You agree?
If I agree?
Yes.
If I agree?
With the role that you're playing?
Listen. Our people here, they are not in the position to listen. Our people, the mentality is, okay, persons might listen and take suggestions. But at the same time, if people feel like it doesn't suit their purpose, people go on an attack pathway.
Quite so, but these are
right?
common sense
They
recommendations.
attack people. They don't listen. And persons are put up to attack people. Now, something that a lot of us don't understand. Mr. Socrates, if you have a child, and your child is going in a direction that you wouldn't like the child to go, would you stand there and see the child going wrong and don't help him or her, and then you turn around and say you love your child?
Your duty as a parent is to instruct and guide.
Exactly. So if you love your child, you chastise and you're correct, right? Because you want him to do the best, right?
Correct.
And I will leave it. That part there, I will leave that there. But finally, before I go, this thing about home quarantine, I don't know. I'm confused there. But I heard Ms. Laws made mention about some virtual way of finding out how these people are doing in quarantine because the virus is highly contagious. But why would someone who assumes to have the virus, and if that person is going into remission, if we have to use that word, why would that person be allowed to go back in the home? And the health personnel is going to control them virtually. But this person is exposed in the home. Aren't we asking for problems? Aren't we asking for an outbreak?
Put that way,
within
yes.
that family?
Put that way, yes. But I think they would take into totality how many persons are in the home, the exposure, because as you pointed out, if they're in remission, going back to a home where the other person living there, you are creating more of a spread, or a chance for a spread. So there may be more to it than that, because this has to have a common sensical approach to it, and that what you described doesn't ascribe to common sense. So we'll see.
Point taken. Point taken.
Also, it doesn't measure up to common sense.
Is these people under surveillance? Are they being watched 24/7? You don't know, any one of us don't know during the time what could likely happen. Right? We take it for granted that they will do what is expected. But we don't know.
I think initially...
And another thing. Oh, yes. With the car thing, or the vehicle thing, and the insurance.
Yes.
It said that the police said that you cannot drive without an insurance. Point taken. But if the places are closed, what is a person supposed to do? Because if they have to move around, when the time allows for them to go do their shopping or whatever, what do these police expect people to do? How do they expect them to get about?
That is why you put the question out there.
To say, stay in your community and shop. But in many of these communities, whatever little shop they have is not sufficient to provide the community. And when people were crying out about all these Chinese coming, taking over these mom and pop shops, nobody paying any attention. So you see how the roots have come, the cocks and hens have come back around to roots.
Mm-hmm.
Now some have to leave their community to go out to look the same. So if they don't have an insurance, what will happen? They have to get these things.
Well, we're in uncharted waters, and that is why these questions are put out there, so people have to come up with solutions.
Listen, I don't know. I don't like the feeling that I have. We hope that all ends well, but somehow I don't feel good about this whole thing. We have to do what we have to do to protect ourselves, right? But I'm looking ahead. I don't know.
We have to believe that the powers that be are listening and taking on board these suggestions and recommendations because they make sense. They have to hear from everybody. And so you, in what you're doing now, is giving alternate suggestions, recommendations that would help us because they don't have all the answers. They do not.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, young lady.
Maybe I need to stop.
Right. You're always welcome to go make a contribution to Voices. Have yourself a wonderful one, okay? Beautiful. Questions, we are in uncharted waters, and there'll be more questions and answers, but they are relevant in terms of getting a pulse of the nation, where we are, where we need to be. Are there any callers on the line? At the moment, we probably pause for a moment to give thanks to our sponsors and return directly after. Thank you very much.
King Ocean, king of the Caribbean seas, announces king-size savings on shipments from Miami to St. Kitts. We have the best service and competitive rates on LCL and FCL cargo, including D&E containers, cars, heavy equipment, buses, boats, and barrels from Miami to St. Kitts. LCL pickup service anywhere in the U.S. Call local agents SL Horseman and Company Limited at 869-465-4086 or 869-662-5008 for further details. King Ocean's king-size savings on shipments from Miami to St. Kitts Nevis. King Ocean, king of the Caribbean seas.
Flo's new combo plan, the people's plan. Combo plan. You can call anyone, no matter which network you dey on. Just use your Flow.
I want a combo, but not for my belly. I feel me cell phone, so me call anybody. Call Mr. Man, call Granny. On the island, Flow, come boom.
Yes, there is no need for to force no more. Cause it Flow combo plan, you're paying less for more.
Flow got a new combo plan. You can call anyone, no matter which network you dey on. Just use your Flow.
Dial star 129 number sign to activate your combo plan today.
How does it feel when you got that feeling? You got the flavor you love. How does it feel when you know you're not dreaming? There is nothing
flavor, the feeling you get when you taste every bite.
Why not stay in? Turn off the alarm clock and sleep some more on your perfect mattress from Quartz. For the widest range of mattresses from the world's best brands, the best value guaranteed. Shop today and let our sleep experts help you to decide on the best option to suit your needs. At Quartz, we don't just sell mattresses, we're offering you the best night's sleep. So, sleep in a little on your new mattress from Quartz. Quartz, bringing value home.
Good afternoon. We've got a caller as we get back on the lines. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon to you, Socrates.
Yes, sir. How about now?
And good afternoon to
Steve,
you
I hope.
listeners home and abroad. I am okay, but I want to point out something to you. It seems as though your landline, your direct landline, 466-098, appears not to be working. Even though it is ringing, and it is ringing for a very long time, it appears that most of your call is coming via cell phone. Nevertheless, I'm going to stick to your topic.
Yes, sir.
But before going to the topic, I want to tell you something. You will not win a debate with Greg as it relates to politics, nor Miss Henry, nor my friend over there in Montserrat.
Okay,
so
sir.
You could close it off very early.
Okay, sir.
Now, Socrates, I'll tell you this. As a result of COVID-19, the world economy is in trouble. Much less St. Kitts and Nevis. But I can tell you the kind of trouble that we're facing here. I just heard the news coming from the cruise people. And they're saying, look, the cruise ship ain't going to start running anytime soon, you know. What that is telling you, Socrates, that taximen is in big trouble and women is in big trouble. The question is, how longer the government will be able to support, to sustain the taximen with that $1,000 coming from Social Security?
This is reality.
Coming from out of the funds. It means then that deficit, that surplus rather, that the government speaks to, so that they can dry up, it's gone.
That's
Look
true.
at the hotel workers.
That's true.
They are in serious trouble because if the planes ain't going to come. As of now,
Government don't have a source of revenue.
you know,
It's
so we
unsustainable.
are in trouble. Whether we like it or not, we have to prepare for hard times.
And we're approaching hurricane season.
You said it. Government run off of taxes.
Yes.
Most local taxes, inland revenue, and customs.
That is
so
true.
where these taxes are going to come from if people don't have the money to spend and to purchase goods? Sales are going to drop.
It's a lot worse than we envision at this point in time.
Yes.
As to how long, that's the question. How long can this
Yes.
be sustainable? Now, the PM says in the first instance, which lasts 3 months, they can be able to entertain these costs, will absorb these costs. But beyond that, as it was pointed out, do we want to go back to the IMF to borrow money and get back in that quagmire again? I say, God forbid. So what can be done? That's a big billion-dollar question or trillion-dollar question. What can be done? What are your recommendations? We all identify the problem. The issue is the solution.
You just talk about the hurricane season upon us.
Yes.
But an election is imminent.
Definitely, that's part of the whole what? Cut the
And
fish.
so any government who cannot supply its people with work and food may very well face a problem. Notice the word I use, may.
Very well face a problem.
Yes, there's going to be a problem. Because after August, constitutionally, that 3 months' time would have run out.
That is true.
How long the government could continue? That is the other factor.
It's
not
a
just
triple
the economy.
challenge. It's a triple challenge
The
at the
economy
moment.
and government and opposition. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adams, for your contribution. But you recognize the quagmire that we are in at this point in time, triggered by COVID-19, the whole timing with the election schedule up to a certain point, constitutionally due by the end of August. Well, up by August. The advent of the hurricane season due officially at the 1st of June annually. How it impacts on the Federation in terms of our preparedness, our focus, compared to the current everyday bread and butter issue of how do we feed our children, how do we pay our bills, how much assistance can the government give, how long can they sustain that? We got a problem. So yes, are the phones lined? Because we have people saying they can't get in, they try in various lines, and I think Terry says only the 62 line is working. So callers, we are standing by to entertain your calls. I don't know what the technical issue is, but we're here. And there's a call online. Thank you for getting through. Good day, you're live on Voices.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Socrates.
Good afternoon, sir. How about now?
Good. Just informed on the issues that the lady raised, the caller raised, they've been dealt with yesterday.
Can I ask you to speak up a bit because you're a bit soft? I want people to hear you clearly, if you can.
Yes, I was saying all the questions that the caller raised, or issues the caller raised.
Yes.
About insurance, taxes,
yes,
etc. Quarantine, all those issues were addressed in various meetings and most of the day-to-day briefings.
They were addressed in various meetings.
To her radio. Afternoons.
Yes.
And listen to the briefings. All those issues have been dealt.
Okay. I'm thinking that way. So I said later on we'll hear by a press conference, a press release, the government have already looked at these and be able to come with us with solutions?
Yes.
I would think so.
Thank you.
So thanks for your contribution. For those listening, all the queries that has been here this morning about the insurance, being able to address your policies in terms of them expiring at a time when the various insurance companies are shut down. All these and other issues have been addressed in a meeting by, I think this young man, the person called, will be representing the government or government entity. And so we feel very reassured for that, by that, and we'll look forward to when the information will be, given to the public, perhaps later on today. I think there's an indication that the PM would be addressing the Federation later on today. So that's good. Callers, I don't know what is the challenges, but please feel free to keep trying to call in. I know I got Talbot's trying to get in, and I got Mr. Derek Freights from in Trinidad. He's trying to get in to get a point across. I know Miss Ardain, Costello Ardain, as a female taxi operator, wants to get a point across as a woman in the industry, and so we can only hope you get in before the closure of the program today. So, SKN St. Kitts Nevis, we now have 14 cases documented. We would hope that it doesn't go much beyond that. We have the question of the peak, the flattening of the curve. We're using language that we get from, other outside the region, looking at how they actually respond to the challenges they face. We have to learn from the mistakes they have made, learn from, how they do things, and hope that we can benefit and get by this COVID-19 pandemic in the shortest space of time possible. I want to say good day to Rouse up there making rounds, making sure that things are under control, even though there's been very little or no traffic. Beverly, standing by for your call if you can get through. And so, it's the 15th of April, 6 minutes past the 1 o'clock hour, and we go down until 1:30. So where are we at the moment? Insurance issues for those expired. I'm told by a caller a short while ago that's been addressed. Let's see what I have here written down to yesterday. Okay. So, schools. Somebody mentioned, there's a caller online. Could they caller you online? And the caller would have, you lost a caller. There was an issue, a concern about children being home from school, how much they're eating, and that is why people have to shop ever so often. And somebody said, but normally during spring break, the kids are home. So it shouldn't pose any additional problem because they're accustomed to, but that's an opinion on either side of the issue. We are indeed in uncharted waters, and it's going to take the cooperation of every single one. Call your live on voices.
Bite and roll.
Yes, bite and roll.
How are you doing?
I'm glad that you made it in. Mr. Bass.
Yes.
The mic is yours.
Huh?
Welcome to Voices. The mic is yours.
Oh. Yeah, I call in connection with the taxi operators. Those who do not pay self-employed.
Yes.
Now, I feel the pain, eh?
You feel the pain?
One, I'm in agreement that they all should pay self-employed. But crisis like this, when you look at the tourist season we had this season, it was not a good season. All the section up to December was a bit lousy.
Starts.
January, when it started to pick up, we lost a lot of good ships due to high winds. And then in February, when it started to settle down now, this is when the COVID-19 kicked in. So, remember, the taxi operators, they operate on a 6 month fast and a 6 month slow.
Seasonal,
right. Most operators depend on, the peak is like from December to March. So most operators depend on that during those months to really catch themselves and put away something for the half season.
Quite so.
No, because the early section was bad, and during the time when they should be making the money now to set up for the half season, like people said, save for a rainy day. Damn, we've been hit with this. Now, I am suggesting government pay everybody, all those taxi operators especially. I'm speaking for taxi operators.
Okay.
Pay them whatever it is they're providing for those who pay self-employed.
Okay, here's a question. When you
And
say
then-
all, you're
and
talking
then
about those full-time
make
or
it-
part-time?
Wait, and then make it mandatory now. You see, when you go to license your taxi, you have to pay your business tax before you get it licensed.
Correct.
So link everything. When you go to pay your business tax, and when you go to license your taxi, if your social security, your self-employed is not up to date, you can't get a taxi license.
Okay.
Because we have to protect the people. You see, government is not just about making profit. Government is about taking care of the people. And I'm suggesting, since some people don't want to go in and pay, if you leave it up to them to pay, make it mandatory.
So you would have to legislate it then?
Huh?
We'd have to legislate it and not make it just a policy.
Well, whatever they have to do, whatever they have to do can be done.
Yes.
I'm saying that just like how when you go to license your taxi, they say to you, look, if your business tax is not paid, you can't get a taxi license, which means you can't operate.
Correct.
So, since we're faced with this now, put that in too.
Correct.
When you go to license your vehicle, you have to bring something from social, or social is the government institutions, the computer schooling. They could check to see if you're up to date with your self-employed.
So they make it conditional.
And if you're not, you have to bring it up to date in order to get your vehicle license to operate.
I'm on
But
board with
just
that.
to leave them out in the cold, I think it's a bit cold-hearted.
Okay. Point taken. I would think the authorities are listening. And Mr. Freight just contacted me by WhatsApp saying I cannot get through what phones are working. Try the 6620989. That seems to be the one most popular. You don't know. There's also the 7620989, 662-0989, 762. Mr. Freights up there in TNT is trying to get in on the line. Hope he's successful. We got about 20 minutes to go before the close of today's program. That was Mr. Bass, and I know I have license to call his name, saying that he think, there's a call in line. Caller, you're live on the Record Voices.
Yes, President, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Mr. Socrates.
Your humble servant.
Yeah, this is Rascalangi.
Rascalangi in the house.
Yeah, you see everything everybody putting forward, what we got to realize is that we are on our own as a people, not as a Sinkics and Nevis. As a people. You see, we're looking at this thing in concrete situation. This virus, even though it was released in China by Babylon system, is really to spread throughout the world, to take out, even if they lose some of the people, this virus is targeted for African people in particular. I'm going to show you. Bill Gates said, right, that in terms of reducing the population in the world, there's 7 billion people in the world, and he wanted to bring it down to 5. These are his words.
He and Ted Turner.
Okay? So what I'm saying to you now is that he invests in Monsanto that produce GMO seeds. You have investment. All these companies, the World Health Organization, is he funding them here?
Interlinked.
You understand? The Council on Foreign Relations and people talking about Bible. These things are orchestrated by a particular set of people. I'm saying to you, he's saying that when certain people are wiped out in reducing the population, Africa has the most arable land to plant food, to bring food to the people, to the new generation that is coming. He said that.
Okay,
and we don't even want Africa, and we are Africans.
I know.
You understand? We don't even want Africa, and we are Africans. We have to stop to look at this thing as we are Trinidadian, Jamaican, St. Vincent. You see what happening
Labels
in
that
China?
keep us apart.
You see what happening in China? The Chinese government is disrespecting our people. So what are we going to do here? If they're disrespecting our people in China, what are we going to do here? We're going to keep buying from them? We can't do that. We have to show solidarity with our people. So what Granny said, if they don't respect you, don't buy from them.
First come to education.
But what I'm trying to show our people is that we have to come together as one. I mean, people before, look, they raise a lot of good questions. But what we don't realize is that where we getting our cue from Babylon system, they don't know what's going on themselves now. Because they're dealing with trial and error. So we got to deal with trial and error too. So what I'm saying to our people, we have to love and care for one another.
That's, we're on the same page. But here's what. 400 years of brainwashing have left us lots to unlearn. 2094, 14 years from now, will mark the 200th anniversary of emancipation of slavery. We had 400 years of, well, in captivity, brainwashing. We are not yet 200 years since emancipation. Look at the figures. 400 years, 200 years, we're still emerging, so the education really is needed, but the damage has been really, really intrinsic in our people.
So what I'm saying now, coming out of this, we have a clear path. Because what we're seeing that we got to depend on us. And what I'm trying to show you is that everything that the world has benefits from, it originated in Africa. You understand? So we know that we are the future of the world. So what I'm trying to show our people here, we have to coordinate our efforts to work with one another and don't turn on each other.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because that's what they want us to do. Because the system is designed to divide and rule.
Okay, don't want to cut your ass, but having us call on the line, we're coming down to the last 15 minutes, so...
Okay, so hear this before go. What Granny said, don't buy where you're not respected. One love.
Peace and love to you. Caller, thank you for holding on. Your live on voices. No caller at the moment, lost callers. Sorry about that. Okay, the point is taken that there are issues and the videos making the round as to how people of African descent are being treated. I don't know if they can be verified because sometimes things can be doctored, so I won't really bring that here as an argument. But of course, globally, we've seen how the COVID-19 has been affecting, and there's a call on the line. Call your live on voices. Yes, we've seen that the COVID-19 has been affecting people of African descent much larger way. I forget the word I was trying to use. And I ascribe that to the diet that we were fed while in captivity. I said the diet of sugar and salt. And call your live on voices.
Socrates.
Yes, sir.
Callers are talking about Social Security, see? And Let me tell you something. Yes, we are in a crisis. Persons, I believe, who failed to contribute to Social Security ought not to benefit. You got business people, business places who have failed to make contribution to Social Security. You got individuals who have failed to do that. I am not prepared to take a haircut. I've worked hard and long. And I am not prepared to
How
take
would that
a haircut
affect
for
you?
others.
How would that affect you if you have a disaster relief fund that is making sure that people whose business have been affected are given some sort of support? How does that affect you?
Socrates, I'm a realist.
Yeah, I
and
understand that,
past
but
government-
convince me.
Listen to me. Listen to me, Socrates.
Yes, sir.
Present and past government, when they needed money, they jump into Social Security. What are you telling me? That's where they jump and go.
I understand, I accept that. I'm asking you, how does that affect you that the government is prepared to assist all self-employed
Socrates.
registered workers who's been
We
affected
had a holy
directly?
discussion, that ain't gonna last. That's not gonna dry up.
I hear you.
These are hard times.
I hear you. So your position is, if a person didn't make his contributions in this present disaster setting, he should not be given any form
Even
of assistance.
if you fail to contribute to something, how you want to benefit from it? That's hypocrisy. I know there are business people who have failed to contribute to Social Security. You're telling me you must pay them and the staff?
And they were penalized. Okay.
Nothing to argue, sir.
What do you say to the
I don't think they
person?
were penalized because those persons has been thus far protected from one government to another government. You have a nice day.
Yes, sir. I think the government of the day is the most relevant. Not a past government and the policies. The government of the day dealing with the current set of situation or circumstances as they represent the people's economy, people's livelihood, their aspirations, how they feed their families, etc. Because if the government is in a position to assist everybody, but decide, okay, there has to be preconditions, you have to be compliant, etc. If it's a social security program, I understand because those who have made a contribution will be given whatever. Those who have not, they don't have an expectation. This is different from where I sit. It's a disaster that's affecting people across the globe. And governments across the globe have been stepping up to assist the people to ensure that they don't fall on hard times because a family with children, you can't sit to them when your father wasn't paying his contribution, so you get nothing when we can help. As the PM said, in the first instance, we will assist. Beyond the first instance, which is for 3 months, you go into this, the second 3 months phase, then you will have had time to tweak and see what's happening. Maybe in the interim, circumstance would have changed so that the economy, it's going to be a very hard time to get back to the semblance of reality that we enjoyed. But something in interim will happen to alleviate the strain on the government. It may be wishful thinking. But to say to our people, we are not going to give you a dime because you never paid your contribution. In the case of folks who are told, well, you're over 62 and you no longer have to make contributions, are you going to say to them, well, we told you don't have to make contributions? There's a call on the line. Caller, you're live on Voices. Yeah. Caller, you're live on Voices. Wow. And I forgot my train of thought. Where was I now? Yes, it's good. Caller, you're live on Voices.
Good afternoon, the King.
Good afternoon, sir. How may I help you?
Oh my God, this phone line really something need to work out.
You're on now. You're on when the clock is ticking. So let's hear what you got to say.
The 762, we ain't working. The 466, we ain't getting nothing like that. And this year, we have to get in. We just ringing all the time.
Okay.
Anyway, the King.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm going to tell you on that one.
Yes,
I believe that the government is supposed to find some kind of mean and ways to pay those who don't pay social security.
Did you say you're going to agree with him or disagree? Which one? You're going to agree with Terry or disagree? Yeah, are you agreeing with Terry or disagreeing? Did you say you are agreeing with Terry or you're disagreeing? Which one?
I agree with him.
You agree with him?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I believe the government is supposed to find some kind of mean and ways or the other fund to pay those people who don't contribute to social security. If they get affected by whatever, they ain't working. Find some kind of other mean and ways. We got some people out there deliberately refuse to pay social security.
Mm-hmm.
They call them all kind of thieves. You know, they ain't going to pay keeping people the money. And you got some jobs right too. Do not pay social security. For the workman and nothing at all.
Okay.
Me now, I work so hard to contribute to social security all my in the million. And now my pension to come, to get my pension. I don't can enjoy the pension just because of that. I believe that something could put in place otherwise, and they give them the social, because they refuse to pay, they're supposed to get any. Now again, the thing is more on.
Go ahead.
The government is trying to endeavor best in the federation. Corona is all over the whole world, in that sense alone. They're trying what they could do to help the young and ordinary people in the country. Especially these young men just the other day they had gun shooting down one another.
Yes.
And they put things in place that these things could stop happening. They find work for them and make a pay for them, and they get it to work.
Okay.
Now this corona thing come around now. The government find some kind of package to give the workers there, because we can't afford to young people go out there to hustle, and because when the parents ain't got food to eat or got things to give them, you know, they go break people and do all kind of nonsense. Maybe the gun battle start again. And the government is trying their best to see what they can do to help the ordinary man and woman in the country. And I think that we should pray to get out of this. Not criticize whatever going on. I mean, everybody got a different ways of thinking, right? But I believe that we should try to get out of this, and instead of just coming on and just criticize everything the government is trying to do to help the people in the country.
We do live in a democracy where various views are entertained. But at the end of it, we all mean well for our country, our federation. I do believe that.
I believe this ain't the time now for the politics. This is the time now for everybody come together.
So?
and try to, you know what I mean? Everybody get a little idea, everybody get a little input, everybody input a little input. You know, when I listen to the program afternoon time, the brief when they look at the afternoon time.
Yeah.
You see, ordinary people contributing to whatever, and I like that. That is what we're supposed to do. Instead of coming and criticizing, and some people they don't listen to the CMO, they don't listen to the government. They listen to the next side, they listen to the next radio station, that the next different.
So far today, sir, we've had very constructive criticism, so we've had a good program. But I understand what you're referring to, but we're good.
But the king sometimes you got to shut them aside and let it think and do the best for the country, because it's coming on and rivals, right?
Mm-hmm.
I might understand this thing ain't left in your body, you know. He ain't leaving your body. And no vaccine, no medication out here for it so that it could heal you. So
anyway.
The government could shut down the place and get this thing kept away from you. It's better for us. And I believe in the next month from now, I believe it will be corona free, and I believe the country court will start to do work again. Not to township to come in now.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
All right.
Anyway, Mr. Politics, I want to thank you. I think about 2 months ago, just beyond that, you made a call on the radio station where you addressed the non-payments to, what do you call them? Service providers to the Carnival Committee. As a result, that opened up a discussion. About a week or so, somebody sent me a post protesting the non-payments, and I reposted it. As a result, the Carnival chairman took me out of the chats, but he has said since then, that all service providers can now come to the Carnival office to be paid. So at least there's a positive. I intend to go there sometime, well, maybe tomorrow, to see my checks already. So thank you for starting the ball rolling, and hopefully we come to some conclusion, because I'm told, well, checks are already paid. Even though I've been removed from the chat, you started it. Thank you. See, sometimes it's good to criticize. You know what I mean? It's 4 minutes down to the close of today's edition of Voices, and I hope we can entertain at least a call or two before we wrap things up. It's been a very spirited discussion today, centered mainly on COVID-19 and the various socio-economic challenges that we've faced we are facing as a result of, as we try to chart our way forward. I'm normally, there's a call in line. Call your live on voices.
Yes, good afternoon, Socrates.
Good afternoon, sir.
When we quote some words from Jimmy Cliff, if I'm right, then it's not the phrase. If I'm wrong, then please correct me. I've been preaching about agriculture for about 10, 15 years now. And it seems my word is like over. Because that is where we got to go.
Correct.
We could have been tougher and we'd been advancing now. We could have been supplying food to the other small countries in the neighborhood, but we can't. We importing. And I keep telling them that well to back to the beach and school. We can't use the water no more. Use the for agricultural purposes all year round. And nobody taking me on. But today, to the God. If you want to listen, they will pay. And we know pension. Good afternoon.
I had some notes on the same topic to address today in terms of food security and to the way forward to remove our dependency on foreign imports as we relates to our food. It's going to take a while, but as somebody said, we have the land. It just have to be tailored properly, where we can get markets, whereas we can sell, because we can't just grow food for local consumption, which is fundamental. But we have to find ways and measures to reduce our dependency on foreign food imports. So you were right back then, you're right now. This may be the wake-up call that we needed to address this particular problem. And yes, food security, I think it's about 70+% of what we consume we import. We have local poultry farms, pork farms, beef farms, etc. I heard there's a query of some farmers questioning the time allotted for them to go and look after their livestock. It has to increased because they're losing livestock. I think they're having a 2-hour window from 7 to 9 in the morning. They're about to look after their livestock. That has to be increased if they are to manage their businesses properly. And so we need to look more inwards in terms of our local suppliers, buying from them, hope that their volume can meet the demand. That's sometimes the problem, supply and demand, meeting the volumes of a people, not only selling to the hotels and those outlets, but the farmers markets. Saturday mornings we used to go and get our muttons or beef, even buying chicken down there. And the trend have shifted to more foreign imports. We know what the Dominica boat means on, I think it's Wednesdays, and that has been affected. So we have to look at different methods of sustaining ourselves in terms of food security. As we come down to the end of today's program, name is Sylvester Socrates Hodge. I've been your host, and we've been able to entertain a number of calls. And we discussed things from folks who not, there's Derek Fritz again on my phone trying to get in. So sorry, my friend. Derek Fritz in Trinidad, trying to get in on the program. Any other call online? And we wrap things up. Today's been quite an interesting segment of voices. We've had calls that cover topics from the shutdown to the shopping to how this security challenges to food security. How do we pay our bills online when we don't have those mechanisms in place and such? I want to wish you the best of the rest of today and beyond. Hope that you stay safe and healthy. Observe the social distancing protocols if it benefits one and all. Have yourself a wonderful day. It's been my pleasure. God bless.